I don't know who needs to hear this, but here you
This
go.
is
You
the
deserve
Truth
to
Frequency Radio Network.
We are TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
Coming to you live and direct from the phantom shores of the ghostly Hudson River of New York. Yes, my name is Rock Castaldo, and I have come to awaken those dormant, inactive particles inside your DNA. So come with me as we go further down this mystic spiral of life inside the Eye of Ra. Each and every week we unveil the different shades of you, the different fractals of you, the different fractals of me, until we are all vibrating the truth frequency. Welcome, everybody. You have stepped inside the Eye of Ra. It's a Soul Station Radio live here on the Truth Frequency Radio Network. We're going to have another Torus talk discussion. So jump into the toroidal space of our conversation as we talk about higher consciousness, and we have telepathic discussions between you and me and this truth frequency. Yes, I just randomly came with that. That wasn't written down or anything. Yeah, but everybody, welcome. It is March 6th, I believe. Yeah, March 6th, 2021. We are live here. It's Saturday night, 7 o'clock here, Hudson River of New York. So wherever you are embedded in this matrix, welcome to Truth Frequency Radio. Once again, yes, my name is Rock Castaldo, and you can find me at themysticalspiral.com, themysticalspiralstore.com. If you want to get a copper device or copper jewelry or world-class crystals that are charged at some of the most sacred spots in America and on the planet. Also, check out ialife.com. And check us out right here on Truth Frequency Radio at tfrlive.com/chat to get involved with our discussion and to support Truth Frequency Radio. Everybody, we're going to be continuing our broadcast from last week, and this is a very special broadcast. I'm glad everybody's with us tonight. I'm glad everybody's here. I'm glad Bam is here. Lucky, Alan, Uranus Explorer, Nikki, Free Energy, Cautious, everybody just joining in the chat room right now and popping in. Thank you for tuning in on a Saturday night and spending some of your precious, amazing time with us. Tonight is a very special broadcast. Let's clear some of the energies right away. I'm gonna sound my Tibetan singing bowl for us to clear some of those dark energies and get some of that negative chatter away from us. So here we go. This is for all of you out there live with me here on March 6th. Thank you, everybody, and welcome here to the Truth Frequency Radio Network. Tonight, like I said, we're going to have a very special discussion. I'm going to be doing this show solo, continuing the conversation from last week. The next couple of weeks with guests. So I wanted to have this time to take this show to have a very, very special conversation, because I've been feeling some of the most hardest energies in the world that I've ever felt in the last 43 years of my life. And mind you, before 1999, I had already experienced group homes a prison, the streets, right? I had already battled the drug addiction. And around the year 2000, I changed my life, and I decided to really not let the phantoms of who we are take my abilities the wrong route and polarize me towards the wrong route, because anybody that has achieved higher consciousness communications has been attacked also by evil. There is no communicating with light without the dark appearing. They want to prevent us. The dark aspects of who we are is related to preventing us from connecting with our higher self. You know, we're going to be talking about these dark energies tonight and battling these dark energies, laughing at the devil, because we know his pathetic games, right? We know the pathetic games of demons. The most pathetic way to attack somebody is invisibly. It's telepathically. Unseen. Whispers. Right? And we can battle that negative whispers. And this happens in all sorts of ways. Think about it. Even false data that's talked about you in the public by other people, this and that. This is the sign of a virus replicating false information, codes about who we are. Welcome, Zeralat's in the house as well, my buddy. And we're going to be talking about this, and we're going to be even discussing cosmic intelligence, communications with some of the people that have been battling demons throughout history, that have received higher communications, even whole tribes like the Anasazi, the Hopi. Anasazi, it seemed to have opened up a portal of higher communications, and what happened? It corrupted their whole system. Cannibalism, dark energy, witchcraft. Same with some of the Hopi. People want to always say, oh no, the Hopis never went through a dark route. Oh no, look to some of the Red Rock areas of the Chaco Canyon and the Canyon di Chelly. Some dark witchcraft took place in those areas, just like there's some places of light in those areas. It's always risky to achieve higher communications. Yes, it's once you communicate with your higher self, or you receive, or you have some sort of higher harmonic communications on a higher level. If you want to say it, even talking to God, however you want to look, there's other entities, codes, data in that system that tracks you and traces you and knows of your presence. And that's what I'm talking about. This data virus. And it seems that some of the prophecies received through these communications by some, even these native tribes, are very similar to prophecies given in Marian apparitions and in many religious experiences. And I'm very happy to be spending some time with you guys tonight. And it's been rough, the energies lately. A lot of times I just wanted to sleep and not even be around anyone, just to get rid of that energy and sort of deal with it in dream time and heal myself in a way, because I was feeling some despair, things I've never felt in all my years, even though there's times where I literally was locked away when I was younger, and I wasn't as much despair. just these feelings of hopelessness of on a mass level coming over you. Things like this. And I had to laugh in the face of the devil, really, because, I've been through a lot in my life, and in a good way, I'm a crazy MFer. Trust me. I'll laugh in the face of some evil stuff, and I'll make a song out of it and sing and dance right in the face of it. Right? There's nothing which I haven't been through or seen. And in fact, telepathic communications and the dangers associated with them is something that I definitely want to talk about. And I mean communicating with higher information, higher knowledge, the data of self. Data viruses from those higher realms, they can track your very progress, your communication, your navigation through that very system. And later on, may issue attacks to prevent further contact to higher knowledge, to prevent contact, to prevent this contact, which usually leads to faith building in the individual and inactive neurons and inactive DNA to awaken. They attack to stop that from happening, to stop you from achieving that higher harmonic frequency and evolution. Many religions talk about this in various different ways. Some call them archons, demonic temptations, possessions, right? The Bible seems to even talk about that we are our very existence, our creation as humans are even, it's tied in, it's even linked to cosmic intelligence, to angels. Think about it. The angels, just higher intelligence. Why would they be so concerned, with a lower creature, so willing to disobey the creator, their creator, the creator of it all, according to the Bible? Why would they be so willing to disobey God for a lower creature? So many of them. Just asking that question and looking at that question should show you how much we must be similar to these creatures and how our existence is entwined with them in some way, with this cosmic force, this cosmic intelligence. And the current status of who we are, our genetic code, is data infected. It's keeping us data infected. Viruses, they need a host to live. And viruses don't always mean bad. I mean, there are certain codes that can be installed, right? That start to replicate to change the system that's hosting it. And when a virus is inside some sort of living system, the system is the one that gives its life, and it can't live without it. So a virus doesn't really want to kill the host completely. It might kill some of the species, but ultimately it does not want to kill everything. It wants to survive. If it kills everything, that means it dies too. If the host dies, the virus dies. Of course, some people die from the virus because they have other health complications, and their system can't handle it as the virus is making this transformation, this change, this mutation to the system in some sort of way. And some species, especially in insects, certain friggin' viruses can be actually installed and attack the system that enables a species to have like defense mechanisms or some sort of ability that's profitable to it, right? Like an insect that does not have wings at all will suddenly grow a pair of wings so it can fly away from danger out of nowhere. And this is because of a virus. And that virus created the system to enhance it. So a lot of viruses change DNA. Is that what we're going through right now? The people that are the weak and they have other health problems, they can't experience the change. They can't handle the transmutation. right? Maybe the very skin suit that we're wearing is the result of a higher dimensional virus, of our higher consciousness, a part of our higher consciousness. And now we're in one that a lower form that withers and decays and has a limited time existence. Right? I mean, is this why too that so many people who obtain higher knowledge die at a very young age? And many people that obtain higher knowledge, they even get criticized and attacked and ridiculed even by the very public that they're giving this knowledge to. Right? The public is being literally steered by the data virus, spreading false information, false data, false hate on people. And it's a side effect of the literal data virus. It is a data virus, a replicating information exchange, replicating over and over again, causing harm to the one it's intended towards. And this is literally done by, if you want to talk in biblical terms, fallen angels and their viral data minions, their archons, their disembodied Nephilim and Rephaim, if you want to use these labels, which are hybrid creations bred and created for a divine purpose to control and take over worlds and control the energy grid of the whole planet, the whole harmonic system, so they can be tapped into higher energy, free energy, and communications with a higher system, the cosmic forces and highway, right? This cosmic highway is linked to traveling between worlds and also becoming linked to higher intelligence and higher telepathic powers that can seed other worlds. And I've talked about this. This is done by sending microbes and bacteria and DNA virus, this encoded data, sending them out to do specific things to other worlds. And this is sent, like I've discussed before, and even astrobiologists and astrophysicists that have come on my show, like Professor Chandra Wickramansingh, confirms what I'm talking about in their own scientific way, that data, DNA, codes, virus, bacteria, this is all being sent by comets and they're interstellar travelers, and it's all done with higher telepathically controlled forces and technologies. Right? And I've talked about it. It's sent all by comets, asteroids, meteor showers. This is how viruses are changing our world. And there's a war going on over access to the encodings within comets. And before I even go further, I got to share with you what I was shown the other night. And I literally was attacked afterwards, psychically attacked afterwards with really bad voices of thoughts. Not voices really, but just these overwhelming feelings of badness coming over me, just bad thoughts. I don't even want to share them. I'm not even going to put it out there like that, but just bad feelings of despair coming over me, like literally a psychic attack, where I didn't want to be around even my daughter or my wife or anything. I just wanted to be sleeping. I didn't want to even put myself near anybody, right? And this is why people that achieve higher information, sometimes they die young. They get attacked psychically, and I mean, we're going to go into it a little bit deeper after I share something with you. But I mean, pretty much every Catholic saint has histories of receiving prophecy or ecstasy visions or some sort of higher information. Also had diabolical attacks. They had assaults from demonic activity, right? Some of them were even possessed, right? I mean, John Bosco, Saint Don Bosco, that I know of, Gemma Galgani, Giovanni Calabria, right? They all were highly recognized within the Catholic Church, right? Some of them miracles attributed to, right? And they were all said to be possessed by the devil at certain times, or demons. And the way the Catholics portray it, and would write it up in the books, would be that they were possessed for their own sanctification, that God can even use the devil to accomplish his goals. Now, the other night, because I've been talking about Oumuamua and different comets and this divine technology of the gods for a while now. And the other night, I mean, I've literally been having they're not dreams, because in the dream, they're more like another, if you want to even say, a 5D life, or a 5D version of me happening simultaneously right now, but it's my 5D existence. Because when I'm in these certain, if you want to quote unquote dreams, because literally I'm in this experience and I have no knowledge of my body sleeping. It's like my body sleeping doesn't exist, and this is my life now, and it's more real than real. Like it's like, I'm in this experience, and it's my life. Even certain things in it are similar to my life in this realm, but it's like almost like an alternate reality of it in it, with higher abilities, right? Like flight, being able to fly, and being able to experience different things that we don't have normally on this planet, in this dimension, at least, right? So it's most likely, in my opinion, our 5D self, when we're going to sleep at night and our spirits are traveling. It's our 5D self that all these lives is connected to each other. Our 3D, our 4D, our 5D connected to each other. And right now 4D and 3D are at war for what we turn into the 5D. And our 5D dream time is our little glimpse of what's transpiring, the result, the domino effect of what's happening. And I've been pretty much meditating on it and researching it, and it's going in some of my presentations, even the Nephilim conference that I'm doing about comets, that a lot of sacred sites and ancient tribes were deeply connected to the telepathic travel and connection between the celestial bodies and comets and the movement of stars, and the way soul stations work, the travel of the harmonic ascension through the spheres of the universe, the celestial bodies of the universe, and everything, quasars, all black holes, different places throughout the universe. They're all linked to different soul stations and travels through different levels of existence, for sure. And I've been on the fringe of cosmology for a while, right? And I was given a very interesting sight the other night that I wanted to share with you guys, because I can't even call it a dream, because it literally, like, I was jumped to another alternate reality of my life, of my existence. And I came out of like one building. It was almost like I was in like a multi-level building, like a mall or some sort of building, but I was with a group of people in the building. But I came out the building by myself, and I came out to a parking lot area where there was this huge hangar, one of those storehouses, a hangar, like a military hangar. There was a huge hangar, a huge one, right in front of me, like 50 feet ahead of me, with these huge doors in the front that closed. These like huge doors that closed like elevator doors, like two doors closed into each other, like an elevator closes. There was these huge tall doors, like one of the, and I think this actual hangar is a jump station. I even mentioned it to my buddy Frank Castle on the phone the other day about the hangar, and he said, "Was you think the hangar was like a jump spot?" I said, "You know what? I think that is right because what I saw was a transformation, and something about to jump from one wormhole to another to on its mission, on its course, right? And I'm going to share with you guys what I saw, but we're about to go to break. It has to do with me seeing some giant, like 50 to 100-foot astronaut-looking thing that transformed into an asteroid and was floating ahead of me and hovering over me in the sky as it just floated silently past me like a spaceship. And before I woke up, but I'm going to share the whole thing with you before we go further, and we're going to be talking deep tonight. So we're just getting started here on Truth Frequency Radio, guys. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be back right after this. Of course, my name is Ron Castaldo as we spiral out. No music.
We are TFR.
My faith in destiny is all I need to prevail.
Truth Frequency Radio.
Welcome back. You stepped inside the Eye of Ra on Soul Station Radio, live on the Truth Frequency Radio Network. It is Saturday night, March 6th, and I am live on the cold, frozen Hudson River, the ghostly Hudson River of New York. So wherever you guys are embedded in this matrix, thank you for joining Truth Frequency Radio here tonight. Yeah, I mean, there's some very dark, hard energies have been hitting us lately. Some people have been feeling it, some people haven't. But I do feel virus changes DNA, and our DNA is literally changing on our planet. It literally is. And sometimes we need to take a break from it all and have a laugh, right? And not for nothing, but I watched Coming to America before we go back into this discussion. I know, going a little bit off target from the first segment, but I watched Coming to America, which is like the sequel to Coming to America. And of course, I'll be 43 this year. So the first Coming to America movie was part of my early teens, right? And it wasn't, in my opinion, of course, it's not as good as the first one, but it did have me at some moments. It got me out of some of the energies that I was experiencing and made me laugh. I mean, the first Coming to America, and they used certain things from the first Coming to America in the second one that made it nostalgic for me and made me laugh and smile, right? And like some of the music even used in the first Coming America. Like I used to, when I was younger, I used to have the VHS recording. I recorded it off TV, right? I think I recorded off like HBO or something on the VCR. And I used to rewind the barbershop scenes over and over again and laugh my ass off, right? But also certain songs that were sung in that movie, like "She's Your Queen to Be," that, and also when Eddie Murphy was singing that song, like "Someone to Kiss, Someone to Miss," "To Be Loved." That song, oh my god, like dance around my house singing that when I would come home from like a school dance or something. That song was awesome. Someone to miss, someone to kiss. That song was amazing. That just, for some reason, and they used that in the second one, and it made me laugh, and it was nostalgic. And I guess some people would think it was racist, even the way they portray Africans in the movie, but I wouldn't care. It's pretty good actually. But I do recommend the first Coming to America. It was a good movie, and I get nostalgic over it. Definitely, definitely was good. So I definitely recommend. I don't know if it's going to be available for free forever. I mean, it's not free. You got to pay for Amazon. You have to have Amazon Prime, so you're paying a monthly Amazon Prime to get it. But it was free yesterday and today. I don't know if it's just for this weekend or if it's for just Amazon Prime members forever, or I don't know. I think it might be just for like a limited time. But if you guys got Amazon Prime, you could check it out tonight. So, yeah, I mean, to get back to what we were talking about in the first segment, I mean, certain whole civilizations were changed from cosmic connections, cosmic contact. And I think even though, and I've said this before, even though Earth seems to be an insignificant little piece in the grand scheme of things in the cosmos, in the galaxy, right? I think what's transpiring on our planet, what our dimension is, and the harmonic frequency that's pumping out of our dimension, there's many outside intelligences that are concerned and interested in what's happening. And there are space stations, outside space stations, that are beaming light codes on our harmonic energy grid, different colors of light that have different harmonic frequencies, and they do different things, and they're activating our harmonic energy grid. And I talked about it on the last week's show. The global elites do not have control of it all, at all. They can't control what's transpiring on our planet. And the Anasazi, from their cosmic connections, they seem to have opened a portal, and it led to the disappearance of their race. A dark energy field generated, and they had very similar things as our Bible. They had a reptilian deceiver that came out of their portal that deceived them, made dark energies, cannibalism, all sorts of dark worship happen, and it led to the disappearance of their race. And in fact, even the Anasazi, and it trickled down to the Hopi. A lot of their ancient chants sound like ancient Hebrew. Even their god, even some of their Yah or Yahweh ceremonies, very similar to Yahweh. And I think there's actually space stations out there that are even possibly beaming light codes, if you want to call them that, for lack of better words, that can even like keep our poles frozen and keep certain areas frozen for certain reasons on our planet. Certain places that have access points to inner Earth dimensions. And I've been talking about the comets for a while now, and like I said, I'll share a little bit more of it. But I was woken up out of the when I have certain I like to call them psychic dreams, but I really think it's us in our 5D, where it's not like you're in a dream and you're sleeping and like, oh, I'm in a dream right now and there's my body sleeping. Well, when you're in it, you actually feel like this is my life. This is real right now. It's like even realer than this reality. More abilities and everything. And you don't have knowledge while you're in this experience of your body sleeping at all. This is your life right now. You're in another dimension of you, right? And it seems that I'll remember a little bit of it, and it will wake me up after. I'll wake up out of it, and then it will take me a minute to realize that I'm in this life again. Like, whoa, wow, wait, oh, good. So certain things didn't happen. Like you start to be relieved in certain ways, right? Well, the other night, after having all this asteroid talk, I really think I was given a vision of higher knowledge. I saw something on a higher level, and then I was literally psychic attacked over it, and I got hit with hard energies over it afterwards. And it seems that people that do receive higher cosmic experiences sometimes die shortly after, too. Sometimes become very sick. Look at the children after Fatima. The 3 children of Fatima. 2 of them died very shortly after. The third one possibly was even killed by the Vatican as she got older, before she could reveal the third secret of Fatima. So the other night, I said, I explained a little bit of it. I came out of this building and I came to this parking lot, and there was this huge hangar building in front of me with these huge doors that closed like elevators. And behind the elevator door, standing in between, before they can close, there was something standing behind the doors, visible between the opening of the doors. But the way these doors close, like they come together like an elevator, like they close together, right? So there was this giant. It looked like a giant human astronaut, basically, and I think it was like a biological robot, like a giant human thing, but also a computer, if that makes sense. But it was made out of a human as well, and it was in an astronaut suit, like a huge, like 100-foot giant human astronaut standing behind the doors, and the doors were closing. And as the doors were closing, it was standing right behind it, and I was staring at it. It was about 50 feet in front of me, and I waved at it, and it waved back at me. And as it waved back at me and the doors were starting to close almost to where I couldn't see it anymore, it waved back at me right before the doors could close. And right when it waved back to me, instantly, it now was outside of the building, on the left-hand side of the building in the front, on my right-hand side. Directly on the left-hand side of the building in the front on a platform. And it was convulsing so fast that it was just a blur of color. There. It was like morphing, convulsing. It was laying on its back. And this thing was like 50 to 100 feet big, tall. And it was laying on its back in front of me on the side of the building. And it was convulsing, like laying on its back, convulsing, like having a seizure. It looked like something like that, but a seizure that's so fast you can't see it. It's just a blur of color. And it did that for like a minute or two. And then all of a sudden, it beamed to above me in the sky. But it wasn't a huge rock, like a huge asteroid. Like a long, huge asteroid, but like roundish, but long, right? And it was floating there like a silent spaceship, just floating very slowly, silently above me. And like I woke up right then after that. And after that, I was literally psychically attacked. Like it was like a giant human astronaut that was morphed into an asteroid, into a comet. And then it started moving just slowly, coasting over the sky like it was just some silent spaceship. It was pretty intense. And anybody that has reported some sort of communications with higher intelligence has always reported also having times being attacked, feeling spiritual attack or battling demons, or battling dark energies, and some say they're in the form of serpents or reptilians or some sort of reptilian deceivers. Some call them demons. I don't think it could be a mistake that some of the oldest tribes that are out there, like the Anasazi, they also, there's been people out there, not only Tom Horn and other people out there that have Christian media have talked about it, but I have also talked to certain people on the Navajo reservation that has talked about it. What the Anasazi possibly experienced because of what's passed down through their history, their oral traditions and their stories, how they opened up communications and some sort of reptilian aim came out. Basically, they portray him as a dragon, a reptilian humanoid with a glowing Torus field over it, a halo. Isn't that amazing? And that's very similar to what we have in the Bible, a reptilian deceiver that tricks humanity and made us fall into another existence. We disappeared from the realm we were living in. Is that what happened to the Anasazi? Did they disappear from this dimension? Some say the Hopi are their relatives. And some of the links that we're going to be talking about tonight on the show is some of the prophecy of the Hopi and how it's connected even to the third secret of Fatima, possibly. Right? Whenever I get negative thoughts that might come attacking me in some way, or dark energies, my music is a way. Even people are saying in the chat room that they're musicians like Bam. My music is a way. I can literally use those pathetic forces that the devil uses to attack people right against them. Turn it into positive energy. Turn it into creativity. This is where a lot of artists tap into their energy from. And there's not really, you can't experience light without the dark. And a lot of people that have open communications with God, that have become saints, had to experience pain to have those communications, right? They had to sow pain of portal to receive information of light. What am I talking about? Well, let me give you an example. How about Stigmata, right? For them to receive higher communications with quote unquote God, they had to have open portal sores, wounds of blood. And these were sores that would never heal, which are basically portals to higher communications. So if you want to receive the light from God, you got to experience the pain in this physical world. Those stigmatic activity is connected to their higher intelligence that they were receiving and the miracles that were coming out. You can't be able to heal anybody without receiving some pain in return. Literal open wounds, portals of higher communication. Yeah, no, they have the Anasazi. I didn't click on what you posted, Zaralath, but yeah, they have, even in the Hopi, they have snake clans, spider clans, all these different Kachinas, uh, all of this, right? And a lot of the communications that happen in ecstasy visions and even Hopi prophecy are similar. And on our soul stations that we travel, we have a lot of this cosmic encoding within our DNA. And when we have higher intelligence communications, we activate inactive neurons in our brain, I feel, and inactive DNA. And people will get attacked to prevent that by a data virus. And it activates in many different ways. You will get false data within your brain, within your telepathic thought system, making you feel badly about yourself, making you want to do violent acts, making you want to do evil acts, making you want to lower your existence and your frequency. You know, and me being from my Italian heritage, of course, I'm very closely connected to Italian mysticism and Roman Catholicism and Christianity and a lot of their doctrine. So I know a lot of their history and a lot of the people that have received ecstatic visions that are either saints or blesseds or bishops or fathers or just recognized people within the church also experience some of the most heaviest demonic assaults, right? I mean, both Blessed Anna Maria Taigi, who had some of the most intense prophecies about 3 days of darkness and about basically comets coming. She talks about fire coming from the sky and the wind and the air being infected by evil, right? People will be dying. They have to stay inside and keep the doors and windows closed. And there will be no man-made light that works for 3 days. She was assaulted by demons. She talked about she had demons appear to her in the most horrific, horrible forms as well. And they tried to make her do unclean, thoughts and activity. And also, there's Sister Melendez, Josefa Melendez, who lived in the early 1900s. I think she died in the 1920s. She was born in 1890 to 1920 something. But she was constantly assaulted by invisible fists. They talk about that she would be like battered and bruised and picked up and thrown to the ground. And one time even her clothes were burned off her back while she was wearing them, and like she didn't die from it, but she was severely burned from it. And they taught a lot of these people that would receive visions also had Satan hounding their soul, right? Temptations against their literal vocations. And yeah, Sister Josefa, she literally had times where she was where she would they talk about in the writings that like if she would get impatient in her life, then all of a sudden she would get assaulted by invisible fists, and she literally would get picked up and enthralled to the ground and get bruised, and bruises would appear all over her, and like I said, she was burned. And I mean, there's all talks. I mean, there's blessed Helen Cavalcanti, who she had demonic visions of suicide. She would want to, and she had her legs snapped twice by an evil presence. And many have talked about having whispers, Anybody who is achieving higher knowledge, if you want to call it Satan, an archon, a demon, a data virus, they'll most likely be attacked to prevent that connection, to prevent us from activating who we really are. And if you want to call it Satan, Satan will seize every chance to drive people to despair. If you let it in the window, if you let it inside, if you chew on it for a while and let the temptation seep through. And that's what it's all about. And a lot of times, experiences will come clothed within light. A lot of times, evil can come clothed within light, bathed within light, portray itself as a being of light. Right? And yes, Stigmata is a perfect example of how pain is involved with higher communications. I think it was St. Francis Assisi that was the first stigmatist. I'm pretty sure. And he was another one that was attacked by demons. And for those that don't know, stigmata is when somebody will all of a sudden sprout the wounds of Christ in various ways. The crucifixion wounds, the crown of thorn wounds, and the spear in the side wounds will either all appear or a variation of them appear on the subject. Some, like Padre Pio, had them for 50 years or something like that, or 30 years. Some people just for a short period of time, both men and women. And this is a very mysterious thing that's linked to the Catholic Church. Right? They have the 5 wounds of Christ that they talk about. 2 hands, both feet. We'll be right back, everybody. Don't go anywhere. And inspire out.
I try and hold the sun. I try and hold the sun.
Censorship and regulation is becoming an ever-growing.
You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
We are TFR. TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us and sticking around. This is the second half of the show here on March 6th, 2021. Thank you, everybody. You have stepped inside the Eye of Ra on Soul Station Radio, and we are live on the Truth Frequency Radio Network every Saturday night from 7 to 9 Eastern or 4 to 6 for Pacific, or wherever you are embedded in this matrix. For joining us tonight here, I am on the ice cold haunted shores of the Hudson River of New York, and wherever you guys are, thank you for joining us. You could welcome us. You're welcome to join us in the chat room at tfrlive.com/chat. Also, you can check me out at the mysticalspiralstore.com and themysticalspiral.com and at patreon.com/themysticalspiral. Also, check out ialife.com, and also on my website, I have coupon codes coming for me teaming up with C60 Purple Power. So you'll be able to get discounts on that. I have all brand new copper bracelets, copper tools and devices, sacred light technology, and world-class crystals for everybody that have been charged at sacred sites. So check me out at themysticalspiralstore.com, and you could keep us live here every week by supporting Truth Frequency Radio at tfrlive.com/Eye of Ra. And yeah, I mean, very interesting information we discussed, very important broadcast we discussed in the first segment of the show, this first two segments of the show. And I definitely recommend if somebody wants to laugh and they're in my age bracket, you know, I'm in my early 40s. I'll be 43 this year, like I said. And my early teens definitely were, part of it was Eddie Murphy and the movie Coming to America. So I got nostalgic a little bit. It brought me out of some bad vibes that I was feeling by watching Coming to America, the sequel. Just those songs, those old songs that from that song, like "Someone to Kiss, Someone to Miss." I love that. I love that. To be loved. That is the best. And they use some of those same songs in this part two. So if you got Amazon Prime, definitely check it out. And you got to battle with laughter. You got to have some way to get yourself not feeding into dark vibes or dark energies that might hit you. And whether it's through laughter or creativity, through music, some way, there's got to be some way people channel it. Because believe me, it could snowball. And there is always risk through open yourself up to higher communications, even to God. It seems it's reported right in Christianity, in Roman Catholicism. Even yogis have reported it. Even in ancient Kabbalah, they have exorcisms, right? Many rabbis have had assaults from different celestial creatures. Some of them they call the Magadim, right? And a lot of these times the intelligence that is relayed to individuals on our planet show visions of destruction in the future, right? And sometimes these visions change our dimension radically, and they seem to steer the timeline in a certain direction. And in my opinion, cosmic higher intelligences has been steering and affecting our timeline and our dimension for quite a period of time, if not always. I mean, look at just some of the Marian apparitions that have happened on our planet in the last several hundred years that we have record of. Millions of people were converted because of these experiences. In many of these, I mean, 1 million people a year were getting converted to Catholicism after Virgin of Guadalupe, right? And for those that don't know, I mean, I've talked about it before. We've mentioned it before, but in December of 1531, which was only like a decade after Cortez had taken over that area from the Aztecs, was when Juan Diego had his experience. And this area, which is called Tepeyac Hill, this is not just a regular area. I mean, this area of Tepeyac Hill was known for sacred experiences. This hill in Mexico where Juan Diego had his famous image of the Virgin of Guadalupe was always sacred to the tribal Mexicans. It was a place where the Corn Mother goddess would appear. I think her name is like Tonantzin or something like that. But she was called like the little lady or the little corn woman or the corn woman. You know, there's a lot of corn goddesses that you'll find. And in fact, if you can even find it in the great book The Golden Bow by Sir James Fraser. Talks about the corn goddess. But corn women are usually associated with the like a moon goddess, just like Diana, right? Just like the Virgin Mary, just like the Marian, right? And this was a place where even where local worship would call the area of the Black Virgin, right? So this was a known area of experience, and Juan Diego basically reports like almost being in another dimension of itself, walking into another dimension on that hill. All of a sudden, he's walking, and he like I said, he was chosen. He was one of the new converts to Christianity in that area, and he was walking and he heard like sweet music, and then all of a sudden there was flowers around him that shouldn't be blooming at that time of year, and roses that were blooming that not from that area, and different colors, and they shouldn't be blooming at that time of year, and he's hearing all this singing, and a beautiful voice starts calling him like in his native language, and saying his name like in a way a family would say it, because his name was Juan Diego, but she was calling him like Juanito and calling him over and singing to him. And of course, this experience, I mean, she gives him this sacred image. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on this one because I wanted to go further into it. And I've talked about this in previous shows before, but I mean, he saw this woman, this Mary, right? They call her Mary. You could call her the Queen of the Heavens. There's so many different names in so many different cultures, right? But she wanted a church built on that site, she said, and she went through a little session with Juan Diego and sent him to tell the bishop, and it was hard for him to even get an audience with this bishop. And the bishop wanted proof, of course, right? And so he goes back to the site in despair, and he sees this apparition again, and she gives him the flowers. She hands it to him in the tilma that he was wearing, the cloak that he was wearing, and then he returns to the bishop, gives him these out of season flowers that should not be over there. And just that alone was a miracle. But then as he dumps the flowers out to the bishop, in the tilma that he was carrying, the cloak that he was carrying, was this beautiful image of the Virgin Mary, right? And, you know, there's controversy over this image. I mean, the tilma itself, which is a cactus cloth, shouldn't last that long, even though they would be preserved longer in glass. This thing was exposed for a couple of hundred years outside of glass at first. Then they put it in glass. They've added painting to it over the years, but the image itself is supposed to be a miracle. I mean, there's people that have done studies on it, and there was this guy. Well, there was a few people. There's one guy. That was a Mexican guy. I think he was Dr. Jose something. He was from Guadalupe, some Mexican center of Guadalupan studies, and he was studying this image for decades, and he said it has to be a miracle because he was working on it, and he was also at the time working for IBM, and he was scanning like very high resolutions onto the photographing this, this original image, and especially the head area and the eyes, and the digital technology that they were using, the image, they had magnified the irises like 2,500 times or more of the Marian's eyes, and they saw that when they do this, they're sort of using these optical procedures that they filter them to eliminate what they call noise out of it, right? And this is like they had a Peruvian engineer that was there, and they basically were able to identify that there were people reflecting in those eyes. And they claim that those people are actually the people in the scene of the very moment when this cloak was revealed, when Juan Diego revealed the cloak to the bishop and the small group of people that are right there, back in 1531. Now that's pretty intense because it might even been implanted there, for the future people to see that, this is a technology that has to be a miracle, that the only future people would be able to discover it, So that's a miracle in itself. I mean, but after this event, people were resurrected from the dead because of this painting. There was this story where they had a parade after it, and during the parade, they were celebrating, and Aztecs and Mexicans were shooting arrows in the air, and somebody caught an arrow through the neck that came down, and they were dead. Like, it went right through their neck, and the wound was healed in front of the statue. So millions of people were converted to Catholicism after this. Millions and millions. At least 1 million a year for years and years. You can verify that and look that up. So it's these Marian apparitions are steering our journey, our course. I mean, look at them. A lot of them, and many that you don't even know about are happening all over. And some of them are linked to bad activities. Some of them are linked to higher knowledge. I think some people actually go crazy from experiences that they have. Like I've shared before, and I don't want to get into it tonight with this story, but I've talked about it, how my neighbors, how the lady went crazy back in 1987 and slaughtered her whole family after seeing the Virgin Mary, right? And this is a family I was very close to, and it sent me down my research into this. It really did. I mean, and this woman clothed in light, bathed in stars, has been reported. Even George Washington found our country, and he had a Marian apparition type experience. There's reports of George Washington being in the woods, and all of a sudden this woman bathed in light appears to him and shows him a map. And as the rain falls from the sky, and the rain comes down, the raindrops are hitting the map, and different states are appearing on the map of the United States, the future United States. Right? It showed him a vision of the future. And she talked to him. That's a lesser known. Most people don't know that about George Washington, but you could find it if you do some digging. He had an experience with a Marian type event. And that's why I've been, discussing this, and this is very important information, and how I'm closely entwined to all of this as well. All of my experiences in my life, anytime I've had spiritual higher experiences, both good and bad, there's been fallout from it in some sort of way. My life has changed both for the good or bad in different times from experiences. And I've been on a quest to achieve ancient, lost technology and truth, and to achieve our ancient abilities again, a higher harmonic existence. And that comes with risk. To achieve true knowledge comes with risk. That's why I even got into working with copper and crystals to keep my sanity, to keep us feeling normal. We are getting bombarded with all sorts of dangerous frequencies. And the children of Fatima is one of the most amazing stories. And you have very similar experiences that have happened all over the world. We even have some that most people don't realize right in the United States here. One of the only, I think maybe it is the only Marian apparition ever recognized in the United States was in Wisconsin, actually. There was two in Wisconsin, one in 1949 and one in the 1960s, I think, or 1860s. But the one in the 1860s is the only one. I think it's 1860s. I'm not sure. I have to look it up. But let me see if I can find it in my notes. But while I look for it to find the right date, it was in, I think, Champion, Wisconsin. I know it was in the 1800s, but this woman was having Marian apparitions, and it wasn't actually researched until like 2009 or something like that, and it wasn't approved until like 2010, but it happened in the 1800s, and it happened in Wisconsin. And she was given prophecies of the future and what was going to happen. Yeah, it was in Robinsonville, Wisconsin, or Champion, Wisconsin. And it was in 1859. And it wasn't investigated until 2009. It was approved on December 8th, 2010 by Bishop Rickon. And the one that received the vision at the time, she was 28 years old. And it happened on October 9th. 1859, and the last apparition happened on October 17th, 1859. There was 3 in total, and the woman's name was Adelaide Breese. She was I know she was an immigrant. I'm not sure exactly where she was an immigrant from. I think it was from Belgium or somewhere like that. But she was a farm lady, and it was about converting people as well, converting sinners, about evangelizing people, and converting the local people, and people were converted, after from her apparitions. And it wasn't approved, like I said, till 2010. Now many of them were only a few years after the apparition, but we also had one in Wisconsin in the late 1940s, early 1950s by Mrs. Van, I think her name Van Hoof, Mrs. Van Hoof. And this was actually, it was denied by the church. It was investigated by the church, but the church, sometimes they don't give any decisions. Sometimes they turn it down, give it a negative decision. And usually it's politically related, the decisions that have to do with Marian apparitions. It usually doesn't do about how supernatural it was, because that's one of the qualifications to have an approval of a supernatural character for an apparition to become a Marian apparition. And the Vatican has to investigate it and determine whether it was a supernatural nature of a supernatural nature, not of a diabolical nature, but of God, right? So there could be a supernatural nature, but it was of a diabolical deceiver, right? So it has to be of divine origin, this supernatural event or apparition. And yeah, there in 1949 to 1950, Mrs. Van Hoof was having all sorts of experiences with Marian apparitions. And she talked about something very similar. And she also was one that discussed George Washington also having these experiences. Right? And, that area, they had to actually move themselves from the Catholic Church because they wanted to recognize those experiences that she had. And they're now part of an older Catholic Church that just does Latin Mass, and they're separate from the Vatican. And a lot of churches are doing this nowadays. But the Fatima event is very interesting because these three children, they experienced a series of apparitions that they had to be there at a specific day, at a specific time of the month, at the 13th of the month, and it lasted for several months until October of the year. And I think it started in May and it ended in October. And the last of the apparitions, they had the miracle of the sun event, where there was literally the sun, out of the sun came a silvery pearl spinning, a wheel spinning. The sun seemed to dance there for a while, and then it came down from the sky like it was going to hit the crowd. But it appeared as like a silvery pearl, a spinning wheel that was like silver, but more of like a pearl shine to it. That's reported, because the sun cannot come out of the sky. Our planet would be doomed if that happened. So it was some sort of thing that seemed to come out of the sun. And a lot of these Marian apparitions have to do with events from the sun, miracles of the sun. Even the Blessed Anna Maria Taigi, had a little sun that she would communicate with, or orbs that she would communicate with. In fact, even my premonitions that I get, they started happening on a bigger level after I had an experience with red orbs in the sky, silent, sparkling reddish orange orbs in 2017. And after that, I've had more of a telepathic connection, if you want to say. Certain premonitions that I would get as a kid about my family, now I would get premonitions about what's happening within the cosmos, within the whole planet. Things changed. And I think it was a cosmic intelligence that turned that switch, which in my neural network within my DNA. Guys, don't go. Guys, gals out there, don't go anywhere. We're about to go to break. We still have one more segment. We're going to go into the third secret of Fatima and how it's related to the blue star Kachina, the Sirius star system. We'll be right back. Spiral out.
No hate, no hype, no fear. We are TFR Frequency Radio.
Welcome back, my True Frequency Radio listeners and soldiers. Welcome back to the Truth Frequency Radio Network. You have stepped inside the Eye of Ra on Soul Station Radio. My name is Ra Costello. This is the last segment here tonight of the show. I'm so glad you guys are spending time with us here live on the Truth Frequency Radio Network. Whether you're hearing us on iHeartRadio or Paranormal Radio app, wherever you're hearing us inside this matrix, check us out on tfrlive.com. And you can find me at the mysticalspiralstore.com and the mysticalspiral.com. And yeah, we've been talking about some interesting information tonight. Shout out to Bam in the chat room, Free Energy, Hat Golf, Brent, Lucky, Nikki, everybody out there listening to us on various platforms. A shout out to everybody out there. Very interesting information tonight. And yeah, it seems that people that have higher communications, there's a lot of times there has to be a duality connected to it of pain. And sometimes it's manifested through stigmatas, right? And stigmata is usually found, it's reported to be of divine origin. So it's up to you guys. Is it coming from demonic activity? Because somebody has had higher communications? So some sort of higher intelligence that can interface with our world through us. When we have contact with higher intelligence, it could trace us, enter us, and once we host it, it is a data virus that could say, you want to love Christ? Well, I'll give you the wounds of Christ. All right? It seems that people who have manifested stigmata, it usually happens during periods of ecstasy prayer, periods of some sort of ecstatic vision and prayer meditative state where higher communications are received. You know, the church has also claimed cases of false stigmata. Where they have said that, no, this stigmata is of supernatural origin, yes, but it's caused by diabolical origins. It's caused by some sort of self-hypnotic mental manifestation, some thought form some sort of demonic, diabolical transformation. You know, there's a well-known case that's talked about of a Spanish abbess, right? Her name was they called her Magdalena of the Cross, right? Now, she was under oppression by demons for over 50 years. And they said that she inflicted herself with stigmata wounds. She wasn't letting them heal. She would open them up again and again and again and again for 38 years. Now, do you think this is possible? Would a woman literally be cutting holes in her hands for 38 years? Now, she actually did make a deathbed confession to say that she was under possession of Satan, under the influence of some diabolical beast. She did Satan. You could call it whatever you want. But she made a deathbed confession that she had been under the influence of a demon. And after she made this confession, her wounds disappeared. And many of these people, even Anne Catherine Emmerich, she was doing basically remote viewings of locations for the church. And she died because of this. She was riddled. She became possessed with different things, with disease. Her system started to fail her. They were making this woman remote view the times of Christ, the times of Mary. I have a lot of her quote unquote vision sessions. They're remote viewings. She's talking about, she even makes sketches as she's passing through the ceiling and viewing an event, passing through walls and watching things taking place, that she could see it on a 360 view of it, like a blueprint of it. She's describing remote viewing before remote viewing exists. And she also had received various wounds of Christ. Saint Teresa of Avila, you know, there were many of them, you know, and many of them received prophecy that is very similar to prophecies of information that Hope tribes have reported. Many tribes, even my Italian mystical background, prophecies that have been passed down orally. Even information that I have pulled in through certain experiences I have had in my life line up to this. The information that I've shared about harnessing a planetary system with a binary system with a smaller sun collapsing into a white dwarf, and that transformation energy being telepathically harnessed and imprinted into comets and sent through the universe. That information that I shared with you guys, you don't come across that kind of information lightly. That's not something that's just made up. When we achieve certain cosmic intelligence, certain cosmic higher information, many times we will receive attacks because of it. And they will try to prevent us from moving on. And I do believe all of ancient scripture is talking about how comets and meteors destroy worlds and seed worlds. And there are certain star systems that are linked to this, like Lyra and Sirius. right? I mean, the Sirius connection is right in the blue star Kachina as well, in my opinion. I mean, ancient lion races, Egyptians, many ancient cultures are connected to the Sirius star systems. I mean, Sirius, of course, being the dog star, and also having connections to the jackal-headed race and lord of the underworld, or Rosatau, right, of ancient Egypt, of Anubis, right, but also of Sekhmet, whose consort is Ptah, who's the creator god of Memphis, and also was said to be present at the very creation and moment of creation. And the lion beings are seem to portray to be also connected to the star Sirius A, which is a blue-white, I think it's in what they call Canis Major, blue-white star in Canis Major. But this is the star that they say that both Ptah and Sekhmet comes from. And Ptah literally means the one who comes from the sky waters. And the well-known African shaman that died not too long ago, Credo Mutwa, before he died, he revealed some very interesting secret legends. And he talked about a race of ancient lion humanoids as well. Not just, most people know about him talking about reptilian beings, but no, he also talked about an ancient lion race, an ancient white lion race that is associated with South Africa. I have some of this information actually posted on my website, themysticalspiral.com. If you go to in the menu, the felines, Ra's music, the felines, and megalithic secrets in the menu, you could find articles I've written on this. But according to certain ancient legends that are associated with Africa, mystical tribes and medicine men of Africa that hold the oral traditions and the stories of creation, some of their most secret and well preserved and cherished legends talk about certain areas of South Africa that white lion tribes are related to. And they appeared first in the very far past from now, what they call Timbavati, Africa. Now, they appeared after a literal meteor fell, after a comet hit. A meteorite came into this planet and fell. And then this white tribe of lions appeared. So it's right in the story about the meteors and comets there. And believe you me, I could do a whole 5-hour presentation on how the Bible and the whole book of Revelation is talking about comet bombardments, and how comets are coming, and how comets bring DNA and life and seed worlds. They're used for seeding worlds, and they're used for time of battle and war for God. God uses them in times of battle, and he also uses them to seed worlds. And this technology has also been used by rebellious fallen angels. But according to legends, these white lions, they are unique to this southern part of Africa, and they actually represent a genetic rarity. And they have star-like blue eyes. They are white lions with these star-like blue eyes, the eyes of Sirius. And Credo talked about, and he was basically like a holder of these ancient tales. And he talked about how the oldest and wisest star tribes in Africa. Now, I'm closely related to this because I come from a star tribe from Italy, but we also are related to the North Africans of Sicily. Even my part of my name and my mother's maiden name is actually Di Mauro, which means of the Moors. And when some of my siblings have gotten genetic tests, there's a certain percentage of us, over 5%, that is North African, actually. So I think the star tribes of the Tanaric mystics of Italy, southern Italy, that I'm connected to, probably also had similar information as these star tribes in Africa. And the oldest and wisest star tribes in Africa have the ancient memories of a very ancient, mysterious land, a very mysterious country that had these enormous, pointy, square mountains. And they had a god king that had the body of a human and the head of a lion. And they talk about that these tribes say that their ancestors literally originated this mysterious land of the gods who originally came from the planet Sirius. And the Dogon, who are from Africa, of course, have connections to the star Sirius. Actually, the Sirius is a binary system. They have actually Sirius A, B, and C. And you can even go into the book by Robert Temple, Sirius Mystery. And he talks about how the Dogon calls Sirius B Digitaria. And Sirius B is unseen in the night sky. And the Dogon were aware of this. And, academia, they can't explain how the Dogon would obtain this information and have this information, right? And this White Lion tribe is directly related to that. And it's interesting that they talk about how the star is invisible, right? Because I really think this is connected to the blue star Kachina as well in Sirius. Now, the blue star Kachina, for those that don't know, this is one of the most sacred of the 9 sacred Hopi prophecies. And this is when the end of all Hopi ceremonialism will happen for a time. There'll come a time where it'll seem like the Hopi traditions will be over forever. And this is when the friggin' what they call this cosmic being, this Kachina, will remove his mask during a dance in the plaza before uninitiated children. Now, what does this mean? What does this mean? That this Kachina will remove its mask during a dance in the plaza. Now, when something removes its mask, it goes from being invisible to visible, right? So this Kachina is actually a blue star Kachina. So the blue star Kachina removes his mask in the plaza. So that is literally, in my opinion, a star from being invisible makes itself visible, becomes visible. This blue star cosmic being goes from being unseen to seen. And it's before the uninitiated, right? So the actual prophecy states that the blue star Kachina will remove his mask during a dance in the plaza before the uninitiated children. So this star becomes visible in the plaza, in the cosmos. The cosmos is the plaza. Before the uninitiated children, what's that? That's us. That's the population of this planet. We are the uninitiated children. The star will become visible to us. So it really should be read. The blue star will become visible as it pulsates in the cosmos before humanity. Right? The blue star Kachina will remove his mask during a dance in the plaza before the uninitiated children. And it talks about how there will be no ceremonies for a time. There will be no more faith. Then the Oriabi will be rejuvenated again. The Oriabi is a Hopi clan. That they will be rejuvenated with their faith and ceremonies again, and it will mark the cycle of a new Hopi lifestyle, a new Hopi rise. But they talk about in this Blue Star Kachina prophecy, World War III will be started by the very first people that received cosmic intelligence on our planet, the very first countries that received cosmic intelligence on our planet. And these are the old countries: Africa, China, India, Egypt, Palestine. It talks about how our United States will be destroyed. Right? And, Nikki's talking about even in the chat room how she's having a remote viewer on. My remote viewings have been coming true since I've been putting them out there since 2015. And I talked about how what's being activated over Austin, Texas, right before they had those storms and blackouts. When cosmic intelligence happened, blackouts happen. When a higher harmonic frequency communicates with our harmonic energy grid in this dimension, it'll cause blackouts. But this time in the Blue Star Kachina was talked about that it was not far off. That it'll come when the Blue Star Kachina dances in the plaza, and it's represented by a blue star that's far off from here and not yet visible, but will soon make its appearance. And this is when we will emerge into the fifth world. Right? And they talk about in these Hopi prophecies that we have basically 9 worlds. We had 3 previous worlds where we already have lived. This present world that we're in, which is the 4th world, and then a future 3 worlds which have yet to happen. And it seems that this Hopi prophecy is related to the Sirius star system. And it's connected to even possibly the 3rd secret of Fatima, for sure, in my opinion. These children were shown very interesting things. Even they were shown the Mary apparition holding what they described as a heart with thorns in it. Now, what if this wasn't really a heart with thorns? What if this was a symbol for a virus? Right when this happened, 1917, right after these 2 children were hit with the Spanish influenza, right after this Marian apparition, a cosmic virus hit our planet. People don't ever connect that. But 2 of those children died right after from cosmic contact from the influenza. And what's described when they first started having apparitions? They saw like these beams of light in the sky. And it was beamed to their neural network. Just these 3 children were having these telepathic communications and visions of this woman that just called herself from the stars, from the heavens. When they asked her who she is and where she's from, she pointed to the sky and told her from the heavens, from the sky, from the stars. So the children say, "Oh, she must be our lady." And the woman said, later on, "I will tell you who I am." But she came down in a flash of light, like what they described as almost like lightning. And these were uneducated children that described something that could not be made up. And the towns and the world went crazy over the information that they received. In fact, they were even imprisoned for a short period of time. They were tried to being scared into telling the truth. And they had a cosmic intelligence, even a UFO type event on October 13th, 1917, the miracle of the sun. Now, we're going to continue this discussion next week because we're out of time now. And then the next week after that, I have Gary Wayne. And then the next week after that, I have Robert Phoenix. And then we're into April. So thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. Of course, I just added new copper Torus fields and bracelets today and new crystals today in packages. So check me out at the mysticalspiralstore.com to get your copper healing too. Check out ialife.com and check out Nikki Colombo coming up next. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. And Spiral out.
I try and hold the sun. I try and hold the sun.